The latest confrontation in the South China Sea comes just weeks after the United States renewed its commitment to defend the Philippines. That followed a trilateral summit where leaders of the U.S., the Philippines and Japan met in Washington to discuss security in the disputed waterway, as well as the broader Indo-Pacific. And just last week, U.S. President Joe Biden signed into law a foreign aid package that included funding for Washington's allies in the region. Caroline Malone takes a closer look at America's strategy.
U.S. Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken.
It's been 2 years since the release of the Biden administration's Indo-Pacific strategy. It calls on the U.S. to firmly anchor itself in the region.
We will advance a free and open Indo-Pacific.
And to work together with partners to ensure a connected, prosperous, secure and resilient Indo-Pacific. US officials describe the Indo-Pacific as one of the most important regions. From the US Pacific coast to the Indian Ocean, including North, South and Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands, it's home to more than half the world's population and 60% of the global economy. The State Department touts $2 billion in two-way trade as a sign of the strategy's success.
The United States has shifted from being primarily an aid provider to an investment partner. And that, I think, is critically important, and that reflects the growing economic strength of the region and also reflects, again, the fact that the economy of the Indo-Pacific region is critically important to prosperity for Americans living in the United States.
The Indo-Pacific has some of our nation's greatest threats.
The US also has security concerns in the region over North Korea and its support of Russia, as well as China's intentions, particularly over the self-ruled island of Taiwan, which Beijing considers its own. That's led to security partnerships like AUKUS, short for Australia, the UK and US.
We need to expand and strengthen our partnerships in the region. We need to better arm our allies with agreements like AUKUS. And we need to expedite the delivery of arms and training to Taiwan so they can better defend their democracy.
Serving our great nation in the Indo-Pacific theater.
Washington is investing in cyber, AI and undersea defense with AUKUS allies, including nuclear-powered submarines, and in an alliance of democracies with shared economic and security goals through the Quad grouping with Australia, India and Japan.
Keep standing to watch and continue to represent the best of our nation.
On the military side, a recently commissioned Navy ship, the USS Canley, is due to be stationed in Saipan. It will provide an additional sea base for the massive Pacific Fleet, which carries out freedom of navigation trips among other missions. This is a newer type of Navy ship that combines some of the commercial shipbuilding expertise with the military operations, and it can work with all kinds of the military, from the Marines to the Air Force to the Navy and the Army. The US takes part in more than 40 joint military exercises with other countries throughout the Indo-Pacific each year as part of what it calls a deterrence strategy. At the same time, there's been attention on Israel and the surrounding Middle East tension, plus Russia's war on Ukraine. But the US insists it remains focused on the Indo-Pacific, and that will not change.
One of the things that I regularly hear from colleagues across the bipartisan spread of U.S. Congress, as well as across the entire whole of government in the United States, is a deep recognition of and support of the need for the United States to remain fully engaged in the Indo-Pacific region.
The linkage between the Ukraine support and the support for the Indo-Pacific can't be separated. But
despite divisions on a host of issues, there is an understanding on Capitol Hill that it is in the U.S. interest to stay the course in the Indo-Pacific. Caroline Malone, CNA, Washington.